Hey, how's it going, guys? It's DanSpex here, and today we got another how to draw video. This time, by popular demand, we are learning how to draw Shadow the Hedgehog, Mr. Edgy the Hedgie himself. And come here. I'm gonna show you guys how to draw Shadow perfect every time. Okay? It's very simple. It's so easy. I discovered the ultimate secret on how to draw him. So here we go. Here's what you do. You take a drawing of Sonic and you change his color. Change his eyes too. Go to this tool, select these two spikes, turn it around town, fill it back in, then go to the shoes, erase that, turn these like so, bring back your red, do this, get some white in there. This is looking good so far, and then you just gotta do that, and that. And then here's the most crucial and final step. So you go over here, take this tool again, do this, that, and there you go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you draw Shadow. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all later. Have a good one. Oh, okay. But no, seriously, this is how you actually draw Shadow. So, okay, so we're gonna do this, and much like the first how to draw video, the most important thing you want to do when drawing anything really is you want to have some references. So I got all kinds of artworks from him, from like Adventure 2 and all the other games that followed before that. I got some Sonic Channel artwork. All these are done by Yuji Iwakawa. He's just the one I think I just like how he draws them. You know, he draws them very kind of angular, and I just like it. So that's kind of what I base it off. And then here I got the Team Sonic Racing Overdrive character turnaround sheets. This one for Shadow. This is just a good idea of how to see the character in multiple angles. So here you got like the 3/4 view, you got the side view, front view, and back view. So it's just always good to have references around, just to kind of go based off of, not to necessarily trace. You should never trace someone else's art and pass it off as your own, but you should just have these in the background just to kind of serve as a guide. So after you have your references here, we are now going to discuss his anatomy. And for that, honestly, that beginning part of the video isn't too far off. He does share, he is very different from Sonic, but he does share a lot of the same anatomy as him. And much like Sonic and pretty much a lot of the other characters in the franchise, they all have he has a circle for a head. Just gonna kind of rough that in. And of course, you got a mark on where the middle of his face is. And then he also has the same kind of bean shape for the body, kind of like a teardrop bean shape, with sticks for the arms and legs, and then circles for the hands, and then kind of Shadow, whereas Sonic has like triangle shaped feet, Shadow more so has like squares, so you want to keep that in mind. His shoes are a lot more blocky than Sonic's, and he also shares Sonic's triangle, so he has the same ears as him. And then he has the same kind of triangles for his quills, except his are reversed, so his side quills stick straight up. So he shares a lot of similarities with Sonic. Where he differs is mostly in aesthetics and kind of the smaller details. So first off, we could start off with his expression, you know. Whereas Sonic's eyes are mostly rounded off. Here, let me see if I can draw this real quick. So whereas Sonic's eyes are mostly like rounded, you can see here they are a lot more rounded at the top of the eyes. Shadow's are more pointed and angular because he's always serious. He's a stern character, which looking back at my redesign video, I kind of get now why he's always in this position with his expressions, why it's so angular. It's because he is a very serious and he is a very stern character, you know. It would kind of look weird if he was more relaxed, more joyful, when that's not really his character. I think my main problem is that the model in the games is basically rigged to stay like that, so it's really hard for them to get different expressions. But it does make sense why why his eyes are more so drawn pointed. His eyes are drawn a lot more pointed at the top instead of curved. You can see here they are more triangular shaped, so that's something to keep in mind with Shadow. Yeah, he is a lot more stern a lot of the time. Again, I think with that video I more so have a problem with how it's modeled. None of the Sonic characters have basic facial rigging, which is kind of sad, but yeah. Another difference he has with Sonic are his spikes. So whereas Sonic's spikes curve down like this, Shadow's are the opposite. They curve up. Much like Supersonic, the only spikes that curve down for Shadow are his top spike and his middle spike. His 4 side ones stick up. All those stick up, whereas the 2 in the middle stick down. And going along with his spikes, he has these highlights that cover the very top of his spikes, so they kind of like go in the same direction as the top of them would, like there. And then he also has highlights always on the outer edge of his limbs, so they're always going to be facing outwards for his limbs. So he has those highlights as well as the ones on his head. And then the last 2 differences that he has apart from Sonic are his chest fur and his gloves and shoes. So basically, whereas Sonic has that inner circle to kind of define his chest, Shadow just has this full-on chest fur. And I like it kind of like this, where it kind of goes in front of his face. I like it when it's all big and puffy like that, where it just barely clips into his face. I don't really care for some of the models out here. I'll put a picture of one of the models right here, where it's just so small and it's like you can't really even see it. And so I just like it where it's more pronounced, obviously, where you could see it like this. This is what I like to really go for right here. And then last up are his gloves and shoes. So whereas Sonic's cuffs are like 2 donuts stacked up onto each other like this, you know, and then he has his hand like that. That's a poorly drawn hand, but whatever, you know, you get the idea. Where he has these kind of cuffs. Shadow's cuffs, basically how you want to approach those is they're straight. They kind of go at a curve on the top and they go down like that. They're not necessarily 2 donuts stacked onto each other. It's just more so kind of like a rectangle. And then he has these, I don't even know what you would call these, but these red parts that always stick on the outer part of his gloves. So you'd always want to draw them like right here, where they kind of face the outer part of his hand, and then they kind of have a smaller square in them. And then he also has his inhibitor rings right here, so you always want to keep those in mind when drawing them as well. Yeah, something like that. This is a very poor drawing, but you kind of get the idea. His cuffs are very different from Sonic, so and then it's the same kind of things with his shoes. but his shoes, oh my gosh, you guys, I have the hardest time drawing Shadow shoes. They're just so difficult for me for some reason. So whereas Sonic shoes, you know, Sonic's are very simple. You know, you could draw them like triangles. You know, they have the lines, or a little square for the buckle. And Sonic shoes are meant to be very simple. You know, they fit in line with his character of how like simple to draw he is. So whereas Sonic's shoes are more so like triangles, like I said earlier, Shadow's are like blocks. So they're always going to be very angular, very squarish, very blocky. And what always trips me out about his shoes is how the jet part, so these like red parts are drawn. Those always give me a hard time, but I kind of figured out an easy way to draw those. I'll go for these ones because these actually that's another point I want to bring up is throughout all of the art, especially in his older art, Shadow's shoes are drawn very different from how they are now. Earlier, the back parts of his shoes basically take up the whole entire heel. Here, let me erase this. You can see here how the red part in the back like takes up the whole, like they reach up to the rings kind of on his ankles, whereas the new ones, they just kind of go towards the back, so that it's not like they reach all the way up here and like all that would be the red part. No, which I like it how they're drawn this way as opposed to how they are here. One trick I kind of figured just to kind of help out, because again I struggle with this a lot on how to draw this part, just because the shape is very not complicated, but it can be very confusing. It's kind of like one of those optical illusions. So basically how I go about this is you kind of have to picture it this way. So this is going to be like the red parts of his shoes. So how it is like it's a basic triangle like that, and then like say this is like the white parts, this is like the top of his shoes. So basically with the red parts of his shoes, you want to kind of fold that part up at the end, so kind of like the same shape. So this is going to be like the same side, but you're going to be folding that part up, and then to where this part of the shoe is going to be facing like that. Same, that's the like top end, and then it's a little hard to explain, but I hope this kind of helps. And then it'll be like that, and then this will be like his front jet right here. So yeah, basically it's kind of taking that like flat kind of plank and then just kind of curving it upwards. So like taking this part and just curving it up, so it just kind of makes that that motion, and that's basically kind of the layout. And then much like this, you can make it more angular, so you could like do that, and then just kind of erase these little parts right here. And yeah, basically you just have to fold it up and you get kind of the basic outline of his shoes. That's what kind of helps me to kind of get those shapes right for the front end of his shoes. And then yeah, the back is just kind of a wedge. It's easier to understand because it's just basically a big old square in the back. But yeah, so that's how you draw his shoes. Again, it kind of took me a long time to realize how the shape is for them, but once you draw them enough and get some practice with it, you'll be able to kind of draw them from memory. But yeah, this how to draw is kind of mostly learning how to differentiate him from Sonic. And then again, the reason why I didn't really talk about the anatomy a whole lot is, again, because they share the same anatomy. So if you want to learn more so about the anatomy, go ahead and check my last how to draw video on drawing Sonic. You'll get a very in-depth look on how to draw the anatomy of the character. So again, this is just kind of like this is just kind of going over Shadow and what makes him different. Alright, next up, now we're gonna kind of put together what we've learned here by using our references, kind of like what we studied from the character, and we're going to apply them just kind of on our own. So here, let's pick red. So again, first off, we're gonna start off with a circle, and then we're gonna mark out where the middle of his face is gonna be, like that. And then we're gonna draw that same kind of bean shape, like that. Again, like Sonic, they're just barely gonna clip into each other like that. Draw sticks for the legs. Draw circles where the hands are gonna be. And then just lines for where the arms are gonna go. Blocks for the shoes. Got like the ears, like that. And then draw the top spike like that. And then again, like Sonic, the top spike is going to be the shortest one, where the side ones are going to be much longer. Okay. Draw where his back spike. Draw where his back spike on his body's gonna go. His tail, and yeah, that's the basic skeletal structure of Shadow. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop the opacity on that, and then we're gonna draw in the details. So starting off with the middle of the face, this is where. Here, let me just go with a black. Basically, that's where the top of his muzzle is going to go, and then you're going to draw his eyes. That. Draw his muzzle. Draw his mouth. I almost said smile. Shadow never smiles. And then his eyebrow ridges. Then you kind of want to meet with that circle on how you drew his face. Then his ears. And again, I do the same thing like with Sonic. Much like how Tyson Hess draws the ears, where the one that's facing away from the camera, the inner part is drawn a lot more skinny as opposed to the one that's closest to the camera, where you could see it just kind of follows the same shape as the outer part of the ear. And then his spikes just kind of again follow the same thing as your rough sketch. And then for me, for his side spikes, I honestly like to make them just more have a more rounded curve to them. I know Yuji Uekawa draws them a lot more angular, so they kind of have a point in the middle like that. And I mean, it's cool. It's not a bad way of drawing him. I don't know. Me personally, I just think I like to draw it as one kind of curve. It just makes it a lot more smoother, but again, it's however you want to draw it. I know some people really like, a lot of people really like him having the pointed spikes. I guess it fits more in with his character, but I don't know. I just think I like kind of these, just a smoother kind of spike. And then you don't want to forget the highlights for that. With his top spike for the highlight, you just want to again follow the middle of his face, so it's just gonna connect right there, and then the other side is gonna go above the ear. It's never really gonna touch it, and then it's just gonna meet towards the back. And then the side highlights just kind of follow the exact same shape as them. But yeah, again, once you have the head down, and if that's all you want to draw, then you could stop there. But if you want to see how to draw the rest of his body, then this is how you do it. Again, got to follow that kind of same bean shape. And then for his chest hair, I just draw a line that kind of goes into his face. And there are always going to be like 3 or so triangles that just kind of meet up together. It kind of forms like a big ol' kind of like a little mini wings, I guess, that you would see on like a bird. Again, you want to make it really pronounced and not totally just lay flat on top of the body, just to give it that volume. And then finally his hands and feet. Again, hands are super difficult to draw. I'm just gonna draw them very basic, not really anything too special. Unlike Sonic, his arms are the same color as his body, so you don't want to section them off like that. They're the same color of his body, so they would just connect to them like that. Alright, and then last thing to draw are his feet. Or his shoes. God, never want to draw Sonic character's feet. Oh god, no. And then, oh yeah, don't forget the highlights on his ankles and his wrist. And turn off the skeleton, and there you go. Again, this is just a kind of a rough sketch, just basing on what we learned of Shadow. I think it's not too bad, just for kind of roughly sketching it out. But yeah, that's basically the fundamentals of how to draw Shadow. Again, and then if you keep drawing, keep practicing with it, take your time with it, you can definitely do probably a lot better than this. But yeah, you just want to keep on focusing on those little details, like the jet portions of his shoes, and then those quills. Those quills kind of give me also a hard time, much like Sonic, but yeah, so you just want to keep focusing and practicing on those parts. And then once you do practice and you get really good at it, then you can do the outline, the color, shading, highlights, all that stuff, and you could get something like this. and I actually really like how this one turned out. Again, you could see here. Let me go in with the blue. Let me do a new layer. So yeah, again, you can see all the same kind of principles. You know, circle for the head. Yeah, you got the circle for the head, bean shape for the body, and the same sticks for the arms, legs. I kind of have his back arm going like that, and with his hands. Kind of squares for the feet. Yeah, you know, stuff like that. And then, of course, the spikes. But yeah. And I drew the shadow on stream, which it was a fun time, you know. It was just a nice chill kind of session where I drew the rough sketch, and then it was just cool, you know, got to talk to you guys, answer some questions you guys had. So that was really fun. If you want to catch me drawing the next character for the next How to Draw, I will be announcing it whenever I do. There's no really set schedule, but keep an eye out for that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, had some great moments, had a lot of laughs, but yeah. And if you're wondering who I'm going to draw for the next How to Draw video, keep a lookout on my community tab. I'll always have a poll on who you guys would like to see me draw for the next How to Draw video. And then I'll draw the character that has the most votes for it. So this time it was Shadow. And if you guys don't want to miss your chance on to vote, be sure to subscribe, just so you don't miss the next poll and lose your chance on voting for the next character. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching. I'm DanSpex, and I'll catch you later. Have a good one.